Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. fluxJeLLy here, coming at you guys with another Starcraft 2 commentary. And today I have a ZVT for you guys on Korhal Compound between myself, fluxJeLLy, the green Zerg spawning at the top position, and lockandload, the red Terran spawning at the bottom position. This map, Korhal Compound, one of the new ladder maps that came in recently in the new patch. In case you guys haven't seen it yet, I will give you guys a little bit of a run through here. So you got your main spawning here on the high ground. You have a ramp, comes down into a pretty safe natural. I mean, there's only this little choke right here to defend, so pretty easy to take a quick natural here on this map. And then your third is going to be down this way, but I mean, the third is a little bit dangerous. You have to come down this ramp right here, and then you can take this base here. But then, I mean, your opponent can also attack through here by coming through either this attack path here, or he can actually come through the middle as well. There's a little bit of a low ground here with a couple of watchtowers looking over the low ground. And there's two attack paths this way and this way, or through the middle, I guess. So technically there's three. But this will be your fourth base right here, maybe. And then there's another base on the side here. So it looks like a pretty easy map to cut in half. So I guess that's not too bad, but there's a lot of expansions to take. And I mean, they're relatively easy to take. They're on the way. I mean, you're always expanding pretty close to yourself. You just have to keep control of this watchtower in the middle of the map, essentially, and then you should be fine. So this map is pretty good. It's a two-player map, one of the new ones brought in the ladder pools. So there's this one, and then there's I can't really think of the other one offhand. Cloud Kingdom, that's the one. So yeah, there is two new maps here. So far, with 15 hatch going down for myself, not too much of a surprise against Terran these days. Most Zergs go 15 hatch. We do have lock and load scouting this SCV right here, throwing down a barracks and a gas, so there's not going to be any kind of crazy 2 racks pressure or anything like that. Going to be pretty standard, it seems. So the SCV's in now, taking gas as well, so dropping my pool down right about now, as soon as I get the minerals for that. So yeah, this barracks placement kind of standard. I mean, this is usually what Terrans do these days. Some Terrans decide not to wall off, but I mean, there's no reason not to. And only in the early game, I mean, not in general, but they'll not wall off in the early game, keep the Zerg guessing, and eventually just wall off after. So second supply depot and orbital on the way here for lock and load. I got some SCVs on gas here, pool on the way for me as well as Zergling. I do expect to open Ling speed in this map. I mean, Ling speed's a pretty solid opener. You don't really need any more gas after that. You start droning up, especially if you 15 hatch. So we're going to see what comes out of that. But as for this map for ZVT, I do kind of like it for ZVT a little bit. It's pretty easy to defend in the early game against Hellions with this little bit of a choke right here. But once you get out here, I mean, there's a lot of wide open space here. I mean, you can flank around this way and come in here. There's a lot of ways you can flank the Terran army, which is really, really good. So I do like that feature of the map. The only thing I'd kind of not like is these little areas like this, where you can kit siege tanks and then just push ahead with marines and break down creep and stuff. And I mean, putting tanks here as well would be another good one. And you can easily siege this third from like right here. You can set up a little bit of a position there. But nonetheless, it is a fairly good map. I think it's pretty balanced so far from what I've seen and experienced on it. So we have a couple Lings out now. You don't want to overmake Lings at this point. Just sending out a few scouting Lings to grab the watchtowers and to check what he's doing. A lot of Marines actually coming out of lock and load, I should say. Actually going into a 1-1-1, so Terrans are starting to lean toward doing the 1-1-1 opener because Zergs have become so comfortable with the metagame and Hellions. They have it timed out so well that, I mean, there's always going to be spines there and stuff, so the Hellions don't always do the maximum damage. So every now and then, Terrans will decide to go 1-1-1, try to throw a little bit of a wrench in your plan. But nonetheless, making a Hellion not a tech lab, so that's kind of interesting. He might not even actually go into Banshee. Maybe he'll go into Medevac. Not quite sure yet. But he does have some Marines and a Hellion moving out right now, so not a really, really strong push, but I mean, it's enough to force a lot of Lings, and it might be able to do some damage if I don't prepare enough for it. Some Lings on the way now. Ling speed should be done by the time this hits. 2 Queens are on the field as well, so this should be able to be dealt with without too much casualties in the drone department. And yeah, actually Medevac coming out too, so it looks like he's going to have to go into some Hellion Marine drops. Also a really good strategy, usually does work fairly well. Just trying to get a little bit of aggressive here with this Hellion, trying to do some damage to the Lings. Maybe deny some creep spread for a little while. Not going to do much once these spines get up though, so he does have a small window of opportunity here. But it looks like he's going to be going out with his Medevac right now, so it looks like he's probably going to try to elevate her right here into the main. This is actually going to work really well if he pulls it off, because I mean, not many people are going to expect a Medevac this early, especially since I didn't bring in the Overlord, which I should have, but I didn't. I'm making a tech lab on that starport too, so it looks like he's going to follow up these drops with some Banshees. Also really, really good, because if your opponent overcommits on Lings and stuff, he's not going to have any anti-air to deal with these tech labs, especially if you can end up picking off his queens, which usually does happen with these kind of drops. You'll pick off the queens pretty quick, and then the Banshee comes in and just takes out so many drones that it just takes the Zerg out of the game. So we are going to have those Lings, or those Marines and Hellions now getting loaded up into this medevac once it gets here. A little bit of a creep spread going, not too much. Don't know how well this is going to be defended. I mean, there's not much here to defend this. I am going to need all my queens for this, and all these Lings as well. We do have the Marines getting dropped into the base right now. The Hellions are on the low ground. Waiting to be elevated a little bit. Probably going to wait for the Hellions before he decides to attack. Not sure if I see this. I don't think I do. He's just out of the range of this creep here, and he's actually just out of the range of this Overlord as well. So not the best Overlord placement, but I mean at the same time, I didn't want it to get picked off. So that's why I put it there. But we do have the Hellions moving in now, roasting a couple drones. Looks like 4 or 5 drones are gone down now. The Queen's actually going down as well. The drones are just going to stay here in the middle, and I don't want to engage just yet. I want to stick back and keep my army. Keep my army together and just wait for more reinforcements. The gas did get taken out, and these Marines are doing a ton of damage, and this positioning is great here from Lock and Load. There's going to be minimal surface area for me to use with these Lings, and these Hellions are going to be in the back just roasting so many Zerglings. I don't want to let this layer go down. I do want to keep it alive. I'm just waiting till the last possible second, and the Lings are moving in right now with the Queens, so this is going to be the last stand right here. This does have to get cleaned up pretty quick, and it does look like it is going to be cleaned up. The medevac does take the Marines out of here, and a lot of drones are clumped up, and so many go down to the Hellions. So many drones have gone down. Look at the units lost. I have 11 workers were killed by that drop, so that is definitely worth it. Definitely a successful drop there. He did a ton of damage. +1 carapace on the way for my Zerglings, but that's about it. So many drones went down here. It's going to take me a while to repopulate that base. So look at the income tab right now. I am still pretty far ahead because he did open 111, which isn't the greatest for eco. So I do have that bit of luck with me. I don't think he had constant SCV production either. So still up 11 drones, in a good position. Gonna make a couple spines here because I do, or a couple spores I mean, because I do usually expect once you get drops, usually they do go into Banshee. That's why I decided to do that. Because most of the time I get Hellion drop, Banshees follow right behind it. So I decided to get a couple spores, and it does pay off here. These Banshees aren't going to do very much damage at all. There's one Queen here so far, one more Queen on the way over now, and 2 more being made at each hatchery. So yeah, these Banshees are going to be deflected pretty easily. No cloak either, so they're not going to be able to really do much. This Banshee getting fairly low. He does have to pull that away. A big transfuse going down there on the Queen, and the Banshee actually goes down, so losing that Banshee was a pretty big deal. There's a pretty big investment there, and he didn't do any damage at all with it. I mean, he took a couple pot shots. He didn't even get a Queen, actually, so really not worth it. So he kind of let me back in the game a little bit with that. Considering he didn't do enough damage there. Spire on the way now for me as well. And if you look at the Terran here, he's going into Tank Marine, pretty standard. Not sure what he's going to use this starport for, probably medevacs. Siege mode is on the way, and a lot of tanks actually. He's got a good few tanks. He's got 4 tanks right now, and a Raven too. And this is really, really underused by Terrans. Not enough of them get Ravens. If you think about it, when you get 1 Raven, if he has mutas, you throw it on a PDD, and that just pretty much denies all the mutas. I mean, it's automatic detection. You can pick off the creep as you go. You don't have to burn scans. I mean, even auto turrets are really, really good. So I would assume that more Terrans are going to start using Ravens as soon as they realize how good they actually are. But we do have a little bit of a push here coming from Lock and Load. He's bringing along a couple SCVs as well. Looks like he has 4 SCVs along for the ride, so he does need to do damage here, or he's going to start falling behind, especially when he's bringing those SCVs. 22 Lings on the way right now. +1 armor is done, so the Lings won't actually be one-shot by the tanks, which is good for me. The Lings, as long as they have 1 armor upgrade, won't get one-shot by unupgraded tanks. And looks like we're going to have a lot of Lings. No Banelings quite yet, which is kind of surprising. The Baneling that's not quite done yet, which is why. And he's actually getting pretty dangerously close here to this natural, so he's going to start shelling it with the tanks. And these spines have to move, or they're just going to get taken out. It looks like the spine will go down. It does. And the tanks are starting to push in here, and now the Banelings are starting to get morphed in, but not a lot of Banelings, only 6. And at the same time, there aren't a lot of Marines either, so not the worst case scenario here with only 6 Banelings. PDD, or an auto turret going down, that's getting taken out pretty quick though. It is on fire. And the Lings and Banes are running in right now, and the Banes are going to connect with the Marines. They're taking out a ton of Marines, and it's just tanks left. It looks like these mutas and these Lings will be able to clean up the rest of this army as soon as I decide to move out with them. I'm just waiting for a couple more reinforcements before I actually move out. Because we have 4 tanks here, but only a handful of Marines. And once the Marines go down, the mutas will have free reign over this entire army. And they do try to pick off the Banshee. They don't quite get it there, but I did save all the mutas, so that is pretty good. And mutas are running into the base now, and they are going to be overextended just a little bit. He really should have kept those Marines back, and now the mutas are going to be able to take out this entire army. The Lings are running in as well. All the tanks have gone down. It looks like the Banshee's going to be taken out as well. No cloak for the Banshee. It won't get away. And the Marines are going to try to come in here, but they aren't going to get here in time. They will get... looks like they will try to come in and do a bit of damage, but the same time, I don't know how much they're going to do. They're picking off a couple drones, so drone kills are important at this point. He does have to keep up in economy because he is this is a fairly aggressive play, and he doesn't have the best eco follow-up for this. If you look at the income tab right now, it's 43 over 38 for myself. Up about 5 drones. He lost a couple SCVs in that push as well. Third command center is up, so that is good for him. He should be morphing that to an orbital anytime soon now. But he's leaving these units in the middle of the map. I don't agree with this because there are mutas on the field, and he knows this. And if they get trapped in the middle of the field by mutas, it's going to be really, really bad for him. So we're going to see if he moves those. Actually, no, the muta's going to move out now. I do see those units, but one muta is fairly low. Looks like the Marines will get taken out. This amount of Marines is not going to be able to kill any mutas. And everything gets picked up in the medevac and the Raven, and I'm surprised the mutas didn't actually decide to go for the medevac, because that would have been a big kill right there, and I would have got the Raven as well, unless he dropped a PDD, so maybe I wouldn't have got the kill. But at this point, I'm free to draw on my third right now, because I know he doesn't have much of an army left, because he just pretty much, I just killed his whole army, so I'm pretty safe for this point for the next little while, so I will be able to drone up there pretty hard. I'm making a couple units. I'm going to go try to deny his third base, which is important. Once a Terran pushes, you always want to check to see if they expanded behind it, because a lot of Terrans do try to do that. They'll take a really strong position in the middle of the map, and if you actually tend to break it, you'll be able to pick off an expansion with it. So that is really important to remember. I mean, that's just the way Terrans work. They push out and then expand behind their push toward the opponent, so they can kind of defend their expansion and push at the same time. So the mutas are running to the third right now, picking off a couple of SCVs, trying to even up the game a little bit. 3 looks like I picked off there. Yeah, 3 SCVs gone down. No mutas actually got picked off, so that's pretty good there. Nice control. But a lot of Marines are out now, so the mutas do have to get out of there pretty quick, and some turrets should be going down here momentarily for lock and load. As for myself, I did draw up my third pretty hard, so it is pretty much fully saturated at this point. Not fully saturated, but it's getting close. We should have some more drones heading over there fairly soon. I've looked at the income tab at this point. It's 52 over 45, so I did keep my lead. I'm making a ton of Mutalisk right now, too, so really want that map control. Especially since he took a quick third. I know he's going to be spread pretty thin, so he's going to have to do a lot of resources into putting up turrets, or he's just going to lose a lot of SCVs. So I know this, and I'm going to use this to my advantage, because I know I have him spread pretty thin. And another push actually coming, and 6 more tanks on the way as well for locked and loaded. So he has done a fairly good job of keeping his tank count pretty high, but sacrificing all of his medevacs, didn't send him with the rest of his army. That's going to be huge. These lings are going to be so much more effective now that these the medevacs are gone, and the Banelings are rolling straight into the tanks here. I don't know if that's the best of situations, but the mutas are just so good at this point that they're actually better upgraded than the Marines. The +1 attack really showing how good it is. The mutas pick off the entire army, and there's the GG from Lock and Load. So a really quick game there. Don't know why he GG'd exactly, because he still did have 3 bases going, and he was making some units, so I feel like he might have GG'd a little bit too early, but nonetheless, pretty much just spread himself really thin there, pushed out a little bit before he should have, and those medevacs was huge. If those medevacs stayed alive, he probably would have been able to clean up my entire army and force the mutas back. I wouldn't have lost the whole army for sure, because they're just so good. Medevacs are really, really good. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more.